Hello and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be showing you just the really basics of knitting. So casting on, knit stitch, cast off. And then next week I'll show you purl stitching and how you can use that in combination with a knit stitch to do different styles. So you can do rib and stocking stitch using the purl and knit. Giving yourself plenty of yarn to work with, fold the yarn in half. Then make a slip knot and thread that through the needle and tie it. In your left hand, hold the offshoot of yarn. In your right hand, hold the yarn that is attached to the ball. Use the left hand to twist the yarn so that it creates a loop. Pick the loop up with your needle. With your right hand, pass the yarn over the needle. And now slip the left hand loop over the right hand pass and tighten. You have now created your second stitch. Your first stitch was the slip knot. Repeat these steps as many times as needed. You may want to rewind and rewatch this while you do your next few stitches. Once you have cast on the number of stitches that you need, you are ready to start knitting. Hold the needle with the cast on stitches in your left hand and the empty needle in your right hand. Only use the yarn that is attached to the ball. Pick up the first stitch with the right hand needle and cross the needle behind the left hand needle. Using your right hand, pass your yarn behind the right hand needle in between the two needles. Being careful not to drop anything, use your right hand needle to make a stitch by picking up the loop created with the yarn between the two needles. Now slip the original loop off the left hand needle. You can now repeat until the end of the row. So, right hand needle through the stitch, cross over the back, right hand passes behind right needle and back through the middle. Right hand picks up stitch and drags off original stitch from the needle. While you're knitting, keep the tension on the yarn, but try not to tighten too much as you make it difficult for you. Your first row will be the trickiest, so don't despair if you struggle. Once you get to the end, switch the needles around in your hand. Repeat each row as many times as you need. To cast off, knit 2 stitches and no more. Pick up the first stitch with the left needle and pass it over the second stitch and over the end of the needle. You can now knit 1 more stitch and pick up the first stitch and drag it over the second stitch and the needle. Repeat until you end up with just the last stitch. When you only have 1 stitch left on your right needle and nothing left on the left needle, use scissors to cut the yarn. You can now slip the cut yarn through the last needle and create a knot. Okay, so in the 10 minutes it took me to knit this, it got really dark in here, so hopefully the lighting's still okay. Now that you know the basics, it's just all about practice. So, you know, practice, practice, practice. Take your time. And this is what a kind of project I would recommend anyone who's learning. Because It's just the same thing over and over again. It doesn't require adding stitches or anything like this. This is a blanket I made, and I can guarantee you by the time you finish making a blanket like this, you will be a pro at knitting. It's also really nice because it's knitted, it fits around your shoulders really comfortably, and you know, looks awesome. So now I recommend using thicker yarn than I did, because that is the only yarn that I could find that wasn't dark or wasn't fluffy. And definitely don't start with fluffy yarn because you can't see your stitches very well. Start with a thicker yarn than I did, and thick needles like I did. When you're buying your yarn, it will tell you what size needles you'll need. So that's where I would start. Good luck, and let me know how you went. Bye!